Okay, let's get started here on our last section here of chapter 8, which is what, chapter 8, section 9. All right, so we're going to talk about commission. In case you're wondering, if you're not familiar with commission, a lot of times, if you have any kind of job that is sales related, where you're selling goods, services of some kind, usually it's goods, things, like orthodontics equipment, or maybe you're selling, industrial supplies, whatever. There's usually a commission that's paid. There's an incentive there for you to sell more of whatever that product is that the company is selling. So you get a commission, and it's usually paid by a percentage. Um, so yeah, and there's lots of jobs like that out there, and there's still quite a few that give commission. So I've started out here. I just went ahead and just wrote it down before we started. But the commission formula is very much like the percent equation, not much different. But for commission, just do percent times, take the percent, make sure for the percent, convert it to a decimal. Divide by 100 and multiply that by the total sales. How much of those goods did you sell or were sold? And that's going to equal the commission. All right. So that's usually paid on top of a salary, maybe you're already receiving. So salary might be actually low, comparatively speaking to other salaries that don't get commission, but that's because the job is, um, counting on you selling things, so even though maybe your salary is only 50,000 a year, hopefully you can make, $100,000, $200,000 more in salary from just from commission. I mean, from selling goods for that company. So yeah, so the first example here is a sales rep is paid a commission rate of 4.5%, 4.5%. Find the commission if the rep sold $179,070 worth of goods last month. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward. We're just going to do percent. So I'm going to change that to a decimal. So 0.045, just moved it over 2 places. The total sales were $179,070. And that's going to equal the commission. I'll put C for commission there. All right, and you can see how much you're going to earn on that. So 0.045 times 179. And I got $8,058.15. All right, so that's what that salesperson is going to get in commission from that particular sale. All right, for the next example here, we got a salesperson earned a commission. Now that we're given a commission of $462, we know what the total sales were, $51,800 worth of goods. And for this one, we're looking for the percent. Find the commission rate. It does not say percent, but that's what we're looking for. The commission rate is the percent. So that's the unknown. So we're going to put that as N times, and the sales were 51,800. And that equals $462. So I'm going to write this more algebraically, like that. You don't have to, but I'm going to do. And then, yeah, you can kind of see what's going on here. We're just going to divide by 51,800. All right, those cancel right there. And now it's just a matter of this. All right, we're going to do 462 divided by 51. Now we're looking for the percent on this one. So I got 0.00891. One didn't show up. 189. Lost my spot there. But it just keeps going. And if I multiply that by 100, it just moves the decimal over 2 places. So this is a pretty low rate right here. So I got N is approximately about 0.89, not even 1%. So about 89 hundredths of 1%. All right, on example 3, we've got Leroy Jenkins was paid $199,500 in commissions last year. If his commission was $5,000, what was his total sale amount? How much in total sales did he sell, basically? So that one, so we're going to do 5%, 0.05. N equals 199,500. Now I'm guessing that the sales is going to be a lot because he made a lot in commission. So you're going to divide by 5%. Sorry, my Apple Pencil kind of starts flaking out if I start writing too much with it, I guess. So 199,500 divided by 0.05. Yeah, this, like I suspected, Leroy Jenkins of internet meme fame, $3,990,000 in sales. So Leroy is selling some pretty expensive things. Yeah, it's probably something hospital related. That's always expensive. Yeah, MRIs or something like that. Who knows? Those are pretty expensive machines. Okay, moving on here. Moving on, percent of decrease formula and percent of increase. All right, so percent of increase. Now, percent of increase, let me write this down and I'll kind of explain it more. I mean, you're going to know what these words mean, but we kind of have different, we're going to attach different meanings to them. All right, so we have base times, now this is percent of decrease. So you're going to do 1 minus whatever the percent is, and that's going to equal a part, okay? And the percent of increase formula is going to be basically the same thing. Be lazy here, I'm going to copy and paste it. But it's going to be the same thing except plus. We're going to add the percent. Okay, so now to give you a little bit of kind of insight here, what this means here. Now the base, in this case, now the base is the original amount. Think of that as the original amount. Okay, what was it before the decrease? Before the temperature went up or down. We're talking about decrease here, but before it went down, before the shirt was discounted, before the markdown was made or whatever it is, but the original amount. Now the part, a lot of times the part is, the last problems were the part was a lot of times it was a smaller number, but sometimes it can be bigger. But think of the part as the new amount. The new amount. It's like the new price with the, with the discount taken off of it. Think of it like that. And the same thing goes with the other side for the base and the part. Okay, so let's jump into these. All right, so a company increased the number of employees from 170 to 255. Okay, so let's set this up. So in this problem right here, the base is 170. So I'm going to put 170 here. All right, we're looking for percent of increase. So we don't know what the increase is. So we're going to do 1 plus, and we don't know what the percent is, so I'm going to put 1 plus n equals, and the new amount is 255. That's the new number of employees. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to solve this by distributing. We're going to distribute the 170 like that. And so 170 times 1 is just 170. 170 times n is 170n equals 255. Okay, and then we're going to take away 170. We're going to solve this algebraically. So now we got 170n equals, and that's going to be what, 85? Yep. And then divide by 170. And I know 85 is half of 170, so it's going to be 0.5. I mean, you can use a calculator on that, but I get n equals 0.5, and then don't forget to multiply that by 100 because we're looking for a percent. Whenever you look for the percent, don't forget that you have to convert it back into a percent by multiplying by 100. And so that comes out to 50% increase. All right, this next one right here. Enrollment in a nursing program decreased by 37.5%. The new enrollment is 130. What was the original enrollment number? So in this example, we don't know what their base is. So I'm going to make that B. And so we're talking about a decrease. So I'm going to do 1 minus, I'm going to convert that to a decimal, 375 equals 130, because that's the new enrollment, right? And yeah, so then when we do that, 375, oops, 1 minus 0.375, I got B times 0.625. Let me subtract that. I'm going to write this algebraically like that, equals 130, and then divide by 0.625. There you go. And then 130 divided by 0.625. What is that? 208, which makes sense. It should be higher. Should be higher, right? Should be more than 130 because it decreased. And then I'm going to skip example 3 because that one really doesn't involve using this formula right here. So I'll stop there. We don't need to do the example. I think the first 2 examples did what we need to do. All right, that does it.